Jay Will, the defensive energy for you guys last night, obviously from the outset, was really strong. What was the mentality for that group going into that game on that end of the floor?
Just playing with five. We have great defenders, great on-ball defenders, and we know that we can help them by having loads or being a low man. So just playing with five, and then of course we can feeding off the crowd, and just playing with five is really the main focus.
You mentioned the crowd. What did you think of them after playing in front of them in round one?
Yeah, it's insane. I get chill bumps every time. Every time I step out there, I think I told Keontae, I was like, look, I got chill bumps. But it's cool just growing up close to here. This is the closest NBA team. Seeing those stripe outs or seeing the crowds from where I'm from in Arkansas, like now being a part of it, it's insane.
Jay, well, you mentioned the low man stuff, and a few times last night, Shea with a big block, Gordon blew up a Gafford roll, and how big are those moments for you and Chet as you guys are trying to defend those rolls to the rim to have the guys in position on the block like that?
It's huge. It's huge. I know that it's like a chain. Lou, Dub, Queso, whoever's guarding on ball, they trust the bigs to be there when they get hit with the screen. And then for us, we trust the low man to be down there when we're up on the screen. So it's just a big line of trust.
And then you guys threw a bunch of different things out of a zone at one point. You and Chet on the floor together at one point went small. As you went into the series, did you kind of know that all of those things were cards that you might throw? And if so, is it exciting going into a series knowing you have a bunch of different options?
I think with Mark, you got to be ready for everything. I think that he can throw anything out there on the court, but I feel like our coaches have done a great job all year of having us ready for those situations and getting us prepared for those things.
Everybody off the bench seemed to contribute, but what about Aaron and just what he did out there, especially the second quarter?
Yeah, Wiggs. Wiggs is always ready. Wiggs is a great basketball player. He can do everything. He can guard. He can shoot threes. He can play off the catch. He can offensive rebound, defensive rebound. He can do anything you can ask of him. And I think he's always ready for those opportunities. And when he gets out there, he proves it.
I know everybody, like I said, off the bench did well, so I know everybody was ready. But what is it about him? How have you seen him sort of be able to stay ready in those moments, not only go out and play great defense, but hit big shots like he did?
I think that just shows you the confidence he has in himself. Every day he's putting in the work. He's working on those layups. He's working on his shots. He's working on his game. He's out there every day. And I think that's just the confidence he has in himself. And we have the confidence in him. And I think during the year, somebody asked Mark, like, what is Aaron Wiggins good at? He said everything. And it's kind of like something we just joke with him about, like, everything. You're good at everything. So I think he just has the confidence in himself to go out there and play basketball.
Joe, I remember what point in the game this was. There was something that Mark wanted to challenge. You guys were like adamant on the bench, like, no, don't challenge it. How many times have you maybe found yourself having that conversation with him in these playoffs, especially?
I don't think this playoffs has happened as much, but I know yesterday it was just a misunderstanding, and he turned around, and Mark, he's always excited to get those challenges out, and the whole bench understood what was being said, so we were yelling at him, but it's just a fun connection that we can joke with our coach, and he's just always ready to use those challenges.
Yeah, and I imagine, like, as the game went on, especially with Lou, that matchup with Luka, like, there are some calls he wishes he probably could have challenged, but he lost that one early on something with Lou. Just how much do these challenges weigh with a series like this, with matchups like that?
Yeah, I think it's a lot, but the challenges are risk reward type thing. You throw a challenge out there, you get it back. If you're successful, if you don't, then you lose the rest of the game. So that kind of just goes into when you use it. It's big in every game, honestly.
What do you expect from Dallas in Game 2?
Honestly, they're a great team. They have great guys. They have everybody that plays is great players. So we just got to be ready. 0-0 mindset. Go out there and play our type of game, and expect them to go out there and play like they want to play.
How are you able to limit Luka into kind of just a human game?
I think that we play really good team defense, and also Lou pressuring the ball. We have a lot of guys that are great on the ball, but Luka's a great player, and we just got to attack him with five. It's a team defense at the end of the day, and when we're playing team defense, I feel like that's when we're at our best.
Have you seen Luka to you, or still look like Luka to you?
To me, he still looked like Luka. He was hitting tough shots. He was playmaking. He was doing everything that he does on the offensive side of the ball. But at the end of the day, we just got to play team defense.
You guys did a good job in the first round of sort of anticipating, like, putting yourselves in the Pelicans' shoes. I don't remember if you said this, but a couple of the guys did, sort of thinking, okay, if I was them, how would I feel? What enables you guys to be able to do that, sort of anticipate maybe what the Pelicans would do, move-wise, emotion-wise? And how can that help in this series?
I think that we have to stay level-headed. I think that we can't get too excited about one win. I think that's something that our coaches have kind of just showed us since the beginning, before playoffs started, is just like different playoff series. Like a team might win the first 2 games and then lose the next 4 or whatever it is. And I think that we just got to stay level-headed, keep the same mindset going to each one of these games. 0-0 mindset, that's something that they preach all year, so just keep the right mindset.
Marcus just talked about the emotional gaps between games, what it takes to maybe master those. But I wonder what it's been like, trying to do that perspective while not having lost at all, like not seeing the other side of, the emotional gaps.
Yeah, I think that we've had a lot of ups and downs throughout the season. And I feel like the season prepares you for these big games and for the moments that we might face in the playoffs. And I know that we've always kind of just had a 0-0 mindset. That's one of the first things that they say to us before my past 2 seasons. That's the first thing that they say to us, just having a 0-0 mindset. And winning this game, of course, is a great feeling with the crowd, sharing the moment with the teammates. But we got to go into this next game knowing that last game really doesn't matter.
Jaylin, one of the first things people always talk about when they're breaking down your matchup with another team is the size disadvantage, and you guys you don't have size. Do you take that personally?
No, I don't take it personally at all. It's at the end of the day, it's basketball. People are going to talk. People are going to say things, and we know what goes on with our team. We know what to expect. We know how to play. I don't take it personally.
Did you and Daniel ever play against each other growing up?
Nah, he was older than me. He was older than me, but I was in 9th grade, and he played against my high school that I eventually went to, and I think it was him versus Isaiah. They were playing against each other, and I was at the game watching. But nah, we never played.
Jaylin, you make a big shot, you're smiling. Take a charge, you're smiling. So makes a good play, you're smiling. Is that like a voluntary thing or involuntary? And if it's voluntary, like, does that add to your basketball experience?
Honestly, it's just me out there having fun with the game. I try to bring light to the game, try not to stress myself out over the moments, try to be happy, have fun with the moments. My dad always told me, like, if you're not having fun, then you're not going to be your best self. So I just try to have fun. I try to loosen up the game for my teammates, joking around with them, and I don't know, it's just me being myself.
Yeah, as much as you guys talk about 0-0, like, are there ever moments that are just too tough to let go as easy as that?
I think there is, of course. Of course, you want games back that you might lose. You want to change moments that might have happened, but at the end of the day, you can't control everything. And there's a lot of games in the season, and there's always the next game. So we just got to stay to that 0-0 mindset, I guess.
Cason, what's been the mentality of this group defensively, especially just throughout the postseason? You haven't allowed 100 points by an opponent yet.
A lot of intensity on the defensive end, knowing who our main guys are, knowing who the shooters are, and just playing together, all 5.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Just for you personally, getting a chance to go up against Luka last night, what were some of the takeaways for you on the defensive end going up against him?
Got to do better at showing my hands. He got me with a reach-in foul. I'm knowing that's a part of his game, so just making sure I keep my hands out of there, but still show him the crowd.
You guys had a handful of plays where you blew up lobs on the backside, that low man help. Tell me about just the challenge of that this series, to be able to make sure that you're there in that spot at the right time.
It's pretty big for us. That's part of their game, getting their bigs active. They're very good at finishing above the rim, so just making sure we meet them and making sure they know our presence is there.
And that 3 you hit in the corner in the fourth quarter, it looked like you didn't even bring the ball down on that. Is that something you've been working on?
Not at all, honestly. That's not a shot that I work on, but I have a lot of confidence in my game, and when the shot was there, I took it and it went in.
When you're out there, does it feel like you guys are using your defense to create energy when you're lacking some, or to get your offense going?
For sure. I feel like that's always one of our main things that get us going, turn defense into offense, and when they miss shots, it's easier for us to get out on the break.
When you're in those moments, are you guys telling yourselves that we need to create some energy on the defensive end to spark the offense, or is it just natural?
When we go on a slump, it's usually start with defense. Straighten together a few stops, then the offense will come.
Cason, Jaylin was over here a second ago saying you guys kind of razz Aaron because earlier in the season Mark said he does everything well. Like, what is it about him, Aaron, I mean, that, just enables him to go into moments like last night and play like he did?
It's something that we all know that he's capable of doing, knock down big shots, create for others, make big plays on defense. Like you say, he does everything, and he does it at a high level. So
I know everybody on the bench has to approach getting ready, staying ready differently, but how have you seen Aaron approach that?
just staying level-headed, knowing when his time comes, he's gonna go out there and show everybody what he's capable of doing. I feel like that's part of his preparation, just knowing when he gets in, he's gonna have an impact.
You'll always be tied to Dallas, from being from there to also being drafted by them and then eventually traded. What did it mean to you to take the court for Game 1 against them?
It was great. I mean, not really focused on that part of it, but like knowing that it's a big series for the team. Not just me. So going out there with a lot of energy and just trying to win the game.
Going back to draft day, you had the HPT Hamilton Park. What do your roots mean to you?
It means a lot. That's obviously where I grew up, and I know a lot of people and influence a lot of kids and older people as well that's still there, and I just want to show that there's a way, even if you don't think there is.
When Luka was drafted in 2018, about 6 years ago, you're 20, you're 14 when he was drafted, like 8th grade going into 9th grade. Was Luka somebody that you looked up to as a kid, and then how does it feel like now guarding Luka in a playoff series?
Honestly, he was not. I didn't watch much basketball back then, but as I've been getting older and watching the league more, he's definitely been somebody that's I watched a few highlights and I'm familiar with his game. So it's cool. I mean, I guess it's cool going against him.
Cason, as you, I want to go back to Aaron. As you, experience your rookie year, you kind of learn the archetypes of the league, what certain guys' roles are. Like, I wonder what kind of respect you gain for Aaron, just in terms of staying ready, being in a role where he could probably be a starter on any other teams.
I got a lot of respect for him because earlier this year, he wasn't playing that many minutes. Some games he didn't play, and now we're deep in the season, we're in the playoffs, and he's getting big minutes, having a huge impact on the team. So that just shows you how tough of a person he is, mentally and physically, of course.
Maybe that didn't apply so much to you this season, just in terms of big fluctuation in role. But I guess how have you viewed maybe swings you could have in your NBA career just from seeing what you've seen on this team in your first year?
I feel like it all comes from confidence. If you have a lot of confidence, then I feel like your game will speak for itself in a good manner. But once you start losing confidence in yourself, that's when you kind of had those bigger swings.
Given how young this team is, has it made it easier for you to acclimate as a rookie?
For sure. I mean, I could ask anybody a question, and they just lived it. So it's not hard to go and ask anybody on the team a question about their earlier games or whatever.
Coaches, after going back and watching the film from the other night, what stood out the most about the defensive activity in that game from you guys?
Great effort, and I thought great attention to detail. It was obviously plays that we can learn from, but I thought we were on it from an effort standpoint, from a focus standpoint. I thought we had a great week of preparation, and we were really, really sharp, and now we've got to make the corrections and sustain that level of energy and effort.
When you see guys like, Aaron, Cason, Jay Will, they all come in, they're really decisive when they're out there. Just what does that say about those guys when they're out there, especially on the offensive end of the floor and the looks they were taking?
Yeah, team-wide, the guys give each other a lot of confidence, and they play with confidence individually. I think that comes from the work that everybody puts in, and then there's the camaraderie of the group. When they go out there, they're gassing each other up, they're making each other feel good, and so whoever steps in the game is ready to be assertive and confident.
Jay Will talked about kind of the chain of trust in pick and roll defense and kind of some of the pressure that's put on that low man. You had Shea, you had Gordon blow up rolls to the rim last night. Can you just kind of tell me about that aspect of your defense and what you saw from the guys, what you're going to need again moving forward?
Yeah, we've done it all year, but it's just critical against this team because of the roll threats and the passing threats of their guards, and so that's our deal. we're in there. We're creating a crowd. There's no secret about that, but it's just so critical against this team. Any margin for error, they're going to take advantage of because of their talent and because of the role threats of those guys.
You guys did a pretty good job, obviously, against Luka yesterday. If so Luka might not be 100%. We don't know. Nobody's going to admit anything. But if Kyrie becomes more of an alpha and tries to step forward and become their number one guy to make up for it, how does that affect you guys?
There's enough possessions for both of those guys, as we've seen when they're at their best. There's games that they're both well above 30 points, and neither of them are using 102 possessions. And so they're both going to be critical factors. And both of them, I thought, were below, their 100-mile-an-hour fastball last night, which is part of the game. And so we're expecting that pitch, in Game 2 and Game 3 and so on and so forth. So they're great players that we have tremendous respect for. That's why the game plan is what it is. And we know they're going to come out, aggressively, confidently. They've got a lot of experience under their belt. They're not going to be rattled by one playoff loss. And so we've got to rise to that. That's our challenge in Game 2.
You talked about the corrections. What didn't you like?
Some of it's just a little, attention to detail things on individual plays for each individual guy. I think like the fouls on Doncic stand out. He's just so good. If you get handsy with him at exploiting that, every foul that we gave to him was a foul. That was our lack of discipline. We were reaching in there. He's great at putting the referees in positions where they have to call it. I'm not sitting here talking about the referees today. That's us. We got to be a lot better there. And then just little details on individual plays. We have a game plan that we can shift around with personnel and in different parts of the game. But the guys know, pretty clearly what we're doing, and now it's just a matter of refining that and replicating a lot of things that we did well. It's not just about adjusting the things that we didn't do well, but it's really hard to do it well. And I thought we did it well for the most part last night. Now we have to gear that back up.
Mark, we talked all season about the trade-offs that come with being a smaller team, but also not wanting to concede boards. Just last night, the effort you saw, I wonder how close that is to the vision you maybe had just in terms of that effort.
Yeah, again, when we talk about trade-offs, it's not that we're conceding anything. We're not hoping to give up offensive rebounds or anything like that. It's just a matter of making sure that what we're doing in totality, the benefit outweighs the cost, as I say all the time. And I thought last night just our activity and energy was really, really high. Obviously, we did a great job on the offensive glass. That was a huge factor in the game with the second chance points, especially early. We made shots late, but early in the game we had to manufacture, and we got ourselves a lot of extra possessions. So I just thought the overall focus, intensity, energy of the team was great last night. But, it's an important game. They're all important, but it's only one game, and now we got to get back to getting ready for Game 2.
Yeah, and I imagine, obviously Shea had a great night last night, but I imagine, Dallas is going to continue to adjust. Earlier in the year, they threw double to him at half court at a certain point. As he starts to see some of those adjustments, how important is it for Jaylin to maybe find his shots and grow as the game goes on, kind of like he did yesterday?
Not just one guy. I thought the confidence of the guys off the bench, as Paris mentioned, was great last night, and we want all of our players to be, unflinchingly confident when they go out there on the court, because then it becomes difficult to guard you. And so, when Wiggins is playing on the catch and driving the ball the way he is, I thought Lou had some really good plays. Josh, Chet, when everybody's playing like that and we're keeping the ball ahead of the defense, then it becomes harder to just scheme for one thing or one guy, and that's the type of team we want to be. It's the type of team everybody wants to be, but it's easier said than done.
Mark, I know you've said Aaron does everything well.
Yep.
I know you appreciate the approach of all your guys, but when you've got a guy that is as capable as he is, has got to come off the bench, and just how have you seen him handle that, approach that? What do you appreciate about the way he manages through that?
I just think he's a great example of somebody that's grown inside of the, culture of the organization, the system. His damage is done through the system of play. So when we're playing the way we want to play, he's right in the middle of that. You look at his stuff last night. He's shooting open threes. He's driving closeouts and getting fouled. He's cutting, and 2 of his baskets came on cuts. All that stuff is system stuff, and that's stuff that he's been growing in for as long as he's been here. And so, a great example of somebody that has really committed to the way that, we try to play, and he's excelled at that and now become, an incredible factor for us.
When you guys drafted him, he's a late second round guy, but did you feel like there were either things physically or mentally with him that could get him to the point where he could be a contributor like he is?
Well, first of all, they do a great job of evaluating everybody, and Sam takes every spot on the roster seriously. The two-way spots, he was a two-way to start. So it's a great example of using those contracts, which we've done with multiple guys now. And the other thing I'll say is, like, once we pick them, it doesn't really matter, where they were picked and what their reputation was. They're here. We're trying to nudge everybody forward, develop everybody, and keep an open mind. Lou's a great example. He's a surefire starter in the NBA now. He was an undrafted player. Cason Williams, Isaiah Joe, Jaylin Williams, these guys are all, end of the second round or undrafted players. And so, we don't let that bias us. We're just trying to help everybody become the best player here that we can.
You guys don't really, you aren't on a team that plays the way your opponents play. Like, they don't make you play the way they want you to play. You guys make them play the way you want them to play. Like, and last night was an example where you guys go with Jay Will and Chet and go a little bigger. In those moments, are you thinking about making the other team play the way you want them to play?
I've said this all along. It's all cost benefit. So if there's no shame in adjusting to your opponent. Sometimes if the cost outweighs the benefit, you adjust based on what your opponent's doing. An example I'd use is, like, if you drop the best play in the world and they come out in a zone, it's like, are you going to say, well, we don't adjust. This is what we do. We're going to run the play, even though it's not best for zone. No, you probably should just run a zone play, even though the opponent is dictating the terms on that possession. And so, we don't really care who dictates the terms. Sometimes we do it. Sometimes the opponent does it. We're trying to figure out what the best thing for the team is. And sometimes that's adjusting to them. Sometimes that's making them adjust to us. And, going big is an example of that. Like, we think that's good for us at times. And so we're going to do it when we think it's beneficial.
We've seen Dub guard just about every archetype of player this season. He's guarded up in size a lot. What did you think of the way that he had a matchup against a guy like Kyrie, who's obviously probably, if not the, one of the quickest guys in the league?
Yeah, I thought he did a nice job. I thought the bigs, the thing about Irving, because of how slippery he is with the ball, is he puts a lot of pressure on the bigs. And I thought Jay Will specifically did a great job on him. That helps the guards with him, helped Cason with him too. Wiggins had his turns with him. Jay, Dub, we played small late and switched with him. So we moved him all over the floor as we always do. We want to mix our looks, so we get a look at different things and so that the opponent can't settle into one approach against us. And I thought the guys did a really good job of executing that last night.
You looked at what Cason, how he played for you. I mean, technically a rookie, but you 80-some games in, and he guards Luka sometimes. He gets Kyrie sometimes, hits big threes. I mean, just a young guy like this, his first playoff experience.
Yeah, he doesn't blink, and he's been like that from the beginning. He's got an impressive temperament, confidence. He's very even-keeled. He doesn't get too, some of those guys that are younger, it's not about, when they get low, it's like they get too high, and they vacillate too much between the highs and the lows, and he's just as steady as they come. And so it's very unsurprising that he's been as reliable as he has in these games. I don't look at him like a rookie, him or Chet.
Pat Riley had the old line about playoff rotations, play 8+7. You're playing 10, sometimes 11. What's your philosophy in terms of, not really changing the rotation?
Well, I've never been more insecure about my philosophy than when you're throwing Pat Riley in my face.
Hey, you're undefeated in the play.
No. I mean, every team's different. This particular team is deep. The difference between player X and player Y, is not very much. A lot of guys bring different things to the table. And I'm of the mentality that we may eventually need, I think we could need Cason Williams in a series, maybe this one. So I've had conversations with him about keeping himself ready, really just the mindset of expanding our options, so that whatever we need, the guy, it's unfair to a guy, to need him and go to him in a big spot when you have to like dust him off to get him there. So trying to keep everybody engaged, trying to keep everybody ready, give everybody a chance. Wiggins is a great example last night. Like, he was huge for us last night. I didn't go into the game knowing that was going to be the case. He didn't play till the second quarter. So if you cut down to 7, maybe you're not playing him on a given night. So, it's what we've done all year. It's what we trust. Going back to the cost benefit thing, like if at a certain point playing X amount of guys is the best thing, we're going to do it. But we're also not going to allow, what's conventional to get in the way of what we think is best in the moment. So it's the best answer I can give. No offense to Coach Riley.
Is that kind of a you have a deep roster, might as well use it type of philosophy?
It's just these guys have proven it. Like, who do you not want to play? They go out there, they play with confidence. Everybody's contributed to our team this season. Everybody's helped us win games. Everybody's performed in big moments. Everybody's stepped up at different times. It's hard for me when guys have, built that kind of trust, not only with me, but with each other, to tie a hand behind our back on that. So again, if things present themselves and it becomes the best thing to go with certain guys on given nights, that's what we're going to do. We're not afraid to do that. But at the same time, we're not going to just arbitrarily, again, tie a hand behind our back if it's not necessary.
You mentioned dictating terms earlier. How much does having that kind of depth help you with being able to dictate, having a various, different types of players that you can put in and plug in different situations? How much pressure does that put on your opponent, not knowing exactly what's coming?
Yeah, we want a large menu. There's nothing more intimidating when you go against another team that has a large menu, when they have a lot of different options, when they can play it a lot of different ways, when they can attack you a lot of different ways. It's not easy to prepare for, and so we want to try to be that type of team. And you have to expand your menu, and sometimes you have to expand your comfort zone for that to happen. So there's been different times this year that we've probably tried some things that seem a little off the walls that haven't worked at times. But that's in the spirit of trying to create optionality for ourselves. For this exact situation, we don't know what this series is going to require from us, but we do know we have a lot of options. We're going to look at a lot of different things. We're going to, turn over every rock to find the best thing. So
through about 3.5 quarters, J-Dub was like 2 of 11 from the field, rattled off 10 points in a row about halfway through the fourth quarter, ultimately prompting Jason Kidd to, wave the white flag. In those situations, does that come intrinsically through him, or do you kind of nudge him like, hey, we need you?
I don't do that. The team does it. These guys give each other unbelievable confidence. I forget which game it was. There was a game against New Orleans, and Jay Will he had just gotten in the game, and Shea missed him. Shea drove it. Jay Will's guy helped a little bit. He was probably open for a 3, and Shea shot it and made it. And Jay Will, they were running by me to the other end of the floor, and Jay Will was barking on it. He was like, "Yeah, 2," and it's like he just got missed, and he's using his equity as a teammate to gas up Shea. So you can't underestimate the camaraderie of the team in these situations. Dub gets off to a tough start. I'm not in every huddle or in the locker room with them, but I know what's going on there. They're keeping his head up. When a guy has a bad game, they're there for each other. I think that's where the individual confidence comes from, is there's a contagiousness to that.
Mark, last one to Joel. You said it a few moments ago, just who do you not want to play with this team? I just wonder, early on when deciding, rotations and dealing with depth, how much you maybe struggle with those decisions and all that goes into that?
I pore over those decisions. These are, decisions that impact the team. They impact individual guys. There's nothing that we want more than to get those decisions right. So, we agonize over what decisions to make tactically with the team, with lineups. We're trying to get to the best thing, for the group. But what the best thing's been this season for us is relying on the depth of the roster. We decided going into the playoffs we weren't going to just abandon that for no reason. And if, again, the series unfold in different ways and unpredictable ways, we'll react, accordingly. We're going to do what we think is best, but we're also not going to see ghosts, when it comes to that stuff. We're going to make the opponent make the series force our hand, and if it does, we will.